Welcome back, everyone, to the Toon Block of Blast the Process 2. Right here we have Janglestorm, and he'll be running Garfield Caught in the Act.
Hello. Oh, ready to go, I guess?
Yeah, so whenever you're ready, if you want to count down.
Yeah, let me reset first and then get this going, I guess. Yeah, I'll just count down from 3 and that should be good. So, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So, I just skipped the lore of this game. I'm gonna explain to you shortly because it's a while before we get to the first level. So, Garfield and Odie are watching TV, but the TV set breaks down, and so Garfield and Odie try to fix it. Sort of do so, except they miss a couple of spare parts, or they have those left over, and they throw them away, and out of them forms this monster called Glitch, who zaps Garfield into the TV, and that's where we are right now. So, in order to get out, we have to play through these acts. In this case, we start off with a Dracula-themed level called Count Slobula's Castle. So yeah, it's a game where you have several types of attacks. We have the normal attacks and we have the projectile-based attacks, which will be helpful to keep enemies at a distance. So in this case, what I'm doing there with that skeleton, for instance. First off, we have these tombs that we go through. And let me see if I can... I was trying to do a potential glitch there, which is really hard to do. If I was able to do that, I would have launched myself out of that tomb, and that would have saved at least 5 seconds, if not more. So that would have been pretty neat. I actually tried it over the course of this week a couple of times, but I've only gotten in a couple of times, so it's worth trying, but you know, getting it is a different thing. So in order to stay alive, we have these food pickups like hamburgers and pizza. For some reason, there is no lasagna in this game to be found, even though it's a Garfield game, which is kind of strange. And so the remotes, if we grab them, we get to the next part of the level. In this case, it's already us facing off against Count Slobula. So the levels themselves are not terribly long necessarily. What we have to do here is we have to make sure to get Count Slobula back into the coffin and then jump to pull up the blind and then let the light in. And we have to do this like 3 times. Funny thing was, I got this in a blind race like over a year ago, which was organized by the Big Bad Gameathon, which I'm a staff member of. And it took us like an hour to figure out exactly what to do because we missed that visual cue. So that was interesting. But once you know, it's quite doable. Let's see if the bat is not being too rude here. It sometimes happens that you want to jump up and the bat is just like, nope. So in between levels we have these commercial breaks where we're supposed to collect cookies. We could sort of do that, but we're mainly focusing here on collecting the coffee mugs because those make us go faster, and we try not to hit these orbs because those slow us down. So yeah, sadly not enough cookies, but we'll live. We'll live. In between levels you have these wireframe type of levels where you just have to navigate through the to the next level, really. It's as linear as it gets. In this case I guess it's to the next act called, well, The Revenge of Orangebeard, so it's a party-themed level, as you can see. And that starts off on a boat, so you think this is an auto-scroller, but actually we can jump off board here going through the water. Although the downside is that we will take damage when doing so. However, it is faster to do that. The thing is, we can't do it right away because the mainland or the next part where we can get off the water is too far off, so we have to wait a little bit. So I usually wait here until roughly the next checkpoint, which is this Pookie Bear over here. And from there on out... Oh crap, I took too much damage there. Tentacles tend to be quite mean. But we start off from here again anyway, so I just made it to the checkpoint so I can show it off anyway. Trying to collect food so I stay alive. And what you see me do as well is I try to attack at the highest jumping point whenever I jump, because that skips the damage taking animation, which stops you for a brief moment. So in order to get through it a little bit faster, that's certainly convenient. So just like that, really. You have a couple of iframes, so you have a bit of time to troll through the water and set up for the next jump. This is where we do stay on board though, because it's a relatively lengthy part of a lengthy body of water, and there's also a couple of stronger currents that make it better to stay on board. Really, it's not really much use to get off in cases like these. And besides, we're almost at the mainland anyway, and now we encounter monkeys and birds. This might be potentially jerk birds. That, by the way, is an extra life, which I didn't pick up because extra lives and also mallets or hammers, those lead to bonus games, and of course those cost extra time, so I'm not doing them for time-saving reasons. But anyway, that's the end of the boat trip. Yeah, the soundtrack is really good, and I'll probably go into detail about some of the other technical details later. First, getting across the swamp. This tree section, if you speedrun this game, is one of those places where at some point you might want to reset because of certain things happening. Mostly involving me skipping past a couple of these branches here. This is the first one, and there's another one which is way more pixel specific, and I need a certain setup in order to make that happen. And also, I gotta be very careful of well, everything here, because as soon as I jump and I get hit by something, I'll get knocked down pretty hard. Like, there's lots of gravity for some reason. Anyway, here's the next part where I try to get up there. I'm gonna try it a couple of times. If not, then... Okay, I got it. Nice. If you get it first time, that saves like a good 5 seconds or so, but if you try it a couple of times, then it's not really worth it. So if you get it first try, it's really cool though. And now we head down here, grabbing some food because we were running out for a little bit. Not much to say about this really, except that we try to keep moving. Sometimes you see the platforms that will keep you going, and otherwise you do the same thing as before. Oh, monkey, please. Also need to make sure to grab this. And that brings us to the next boss, which is this skeleton. We have to hit it like 8 times. It's not always clear if you do land a hit or not, but I think it's like one more hit. There we go. And then we head off to the next level. So yeah, a bit about the graphics. Someone mentioned it already. That's definitely one of the main selling points of this game, if you ask me. Also because those were the sprites of this game were hand-drawn by Jim Davis and his team himself, so that's definitely a cool touch, for sure. You can tell that certain amount of work went into that. Let's see, I gotta find my way here. Also, you see these electricity fields. Funny thing is, this game has been released for multiple platforms, amongst them the Game Gear. And in that version, if you do get hit by things like that electricity field, you get sent back to the latest checkpoint, which is way more punishing than in this Genesis game. So now level that brings us all the way to the prehistoric age. Funnily enough, this is the level that starts out the other non-Genesis versions of this game, because it's also been released on the Game Gear and the PC. For some reason they decided to shuffle that around. There's also a couple of other differences in that the Genesis version only has 6 levels. There were some other levels that were supposed to be included, but they weren't able to get it in due to time constraints. But they were made available later through download on the Sega channel as the so-called lost levels. Some of them were actually included in a certain way in the other versions because the Game Gear... Well, the Game Gear version was developed by a different team, so even though they share the name, they otherwise don't have a whole lot in common. Also...
Have you played those versions?
I played the Game Gear version, not the PC one.
Okay.
So, ending up here, this this waterfall of cheese and broccoli, I guess. Always tasty. Oh yeah, also the PC version has another extra level that's on neither Genesis or Game Gear version, which is an alien-themed level called Alien Landscape. I haven't played it myself yet, but I'd like to check that out at some point. So let's see, gotta make sure to jump these branches. Thankfully the cheese isn't sticky here, because otherwise we would be here forever. And Knuckles. So, upcoming is a boss fight that I hope will go right, because this is the main reason I put the estimate at 30 minutes instead of, well, say 5 minutes slower, because there's a chance that Dino Odie will jump off screen on the left side and the game will effectively softlock. So here's hoping that it won't happen. So we have to push these rocks over to the seesaw, and we have to launch it as soon as the Dino Odie gets here, and then we have to throw a bone in order to send him back up again. And we have to do this like a couple of times. We gotta make sure to not take too much damage from falling rocks, and hopefully get some good rock RNG so we can take have this taken care of really quickly. Is there a Genesis ROM the lost levels? I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. I've only really read things about it, and I guess it was available at the time in a certain way, but the funny thing is, even the box, a certain region, or the box arts in certain regions did refer to certain levels being there in the Genesis version, which of course they weren't. Among them was a Viking-themed level, which was in the Game Gear version known as Bonehead the Barbarian. But again, since they were developed by different teams, those are virtually very different games. So definitely it's worth checking out though, just to see the difference. And back in amongst the wireframes. So let's see. Oh yeah, also, we didn't softlock, so that's a good thing. I don't have to start over again with a password. When I did this with the previous marathon, I actually wound up softlocking the game, so I could fully show it off and stuff. Anyway, we are now going into film noir territory in Casablanca.
I wanted to ask, does the softlock happen that often? Is it like something you see very often?
Sometimes. I wouldn't say like all the time, but there's a chance of it happening. Like, I haven't had it happen recently though, so I can say that much. Oh crap. Alright, this is also a scary part because these doves, again, if you get hit, they will knock you down, and you try to jump off these awnings to the other side, really. Try to get over here. This is like one of those levels. If you know what to do, it's a really short level, but casually you have to navigate and figure out which door leads where and find your way through. So with this boss, we have to collect a couple of bombs. What I tried to get here is, well, 4 bombs in 2 rounds. So now we've got 3, so that's a bit too bad. But ideally, I would like to get 2 rounds of 4 bombs because I need to deal 8 hits. So let's see if I get 7 after this. Oh, I've had this pattern happen very frequently actually. For some reason it was like, okay, first we throw 3, oh here's another 3, and then there's 2. So now we have everything, and now we just gotta make sure to throw them all back. And yeah, that's this level. Funnily enough, in my world record run, I did this, and for some reason it already stopped. Or it was already defeated after like 5 hits or so, which is this kind of glitch that sometimes happens for some reason. Not sure how that happens though. Oh crap. Okay, so upcoming is a tiny skip here, where I do a high jump. The funny thing is, there are various... Well, there are two jump heights. If you jump sideways, you jump less high than when you jump straight up. So that's what I did here. I did a jump straight up, so I was able to get over that obstacle there. So now we are at an Egyptian level, and what I tried to do is get up here first. And we light torches and stuff. Always fun. Again, it's not really a long level necessarily. It's funny to see or to read about what would have been included if they had a bit more development time. Like the previous level, Casablanca, was going to include a train riding section, which would have definitely fleshed it out a bit more. So that would have been nice. So over there I had these crushers that I was hoping not to get crushed by. Just going over here. Yeah, it would be nice if someone did. Like, I wasn't able to find them, but anyway, this boss has a pretty neat setup that could save me almost 20 seconds of time if done correctly. It involves me, well, lighting both of these torches and riding this specific paw. It doesn't really matter if you start from left or right side, although it just fell off, so that's too bad. Good job, mate. I'm gonna try it from the right side anyway, since that's what I know. But yeah, normally speaking, I'm supposed to take this all the way to the top, and then I have to make sure not to waste too much time when setting up the next steps here. So what I try to do here is wait until this horizontal line and then jump up. Light this torch, just wait just before the horizontal line, and that allows me to jump directly towards this tongue without having to waste too much time. And then I have to hit the statue's eye like 5 times, which allows things to happen. And then if I did that jump well, and if everything else worked out in terms of timing, I would have been able to jump onto this paw and directly onto the next block next to or underneath the statue. So that would have saved me time, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. But it was already doomed from the start anyway, so. Let's see. I also tried not to jump too early with that tongue, because it sticks out for as long as you don't jump in it, as far as I know. Anyway, that brings us to this phase where you have to hit these eyes. The funny thing is, I can hit these eyes before I get to this phase, but it doesn't start registering hits until I do get here. And I did a premature hit, just make sure it's only 9 hits. So I have to do the same thing for this snake's head. I have to jump up and hit it 10 times. And then I have to wait a really, really long time before I can finally grab the remote out of this level. I think someone timed it once, it was like 15 to 18 seconds or something. Yeah, I did claw those eyes out. Oh yeah, also apologies for the bitrate kill, because there's lots of static on screen, and even though I have my bitrate set relatively high, not too high, but it still happens, because, you know, static can only be helped by so much. Rip eyes. Alright, we're off to encounter the last boss, which of course is Glitch, the one responsible for us going through all of this. So yeah, it's time for the season finale. So the main plan here is I have to do this climb, but I also have to flip these panels or mirrors because Glitch is firing off these lasers that can be reflected back on him if those panels are flipped. So of course I'm trying to flip all of them and make sure this gets taken care of as quickly as possible. Also, it's almost some sort of bullet hell because there's literally bullets all over the place. It's kind of a crazy boss fight like that. You have to be careful of where you walk because, well, any hit can cause you to not jump or fall down, and especially when you're on a certain pace, it's definitely a thing. Okay, there we go. That was just in time, by the way. Gonna flip this one, just to be sure. Oh, missed inputs. Let's see, gonna get up here. Thankfully there's pizza and all kinds of food, so I'll be able to stay alive pretty easily. Oh, that was really unfortunate. Gotta be patient sometimes. So there we go, that's gotta go here. And oops, there we go. Okay, the last set of mirrors to be flipped. So I hope to make it back onto this platform and then jump over here. And now we just wait. We just wait until the last laser gets bounced back towards the glitch, and that's also pretty much the end of the game. So time stops as soon as I grab the last remote and the screen fades to black. That's when time is, so get ready for that. There we go. And one high jump, otherwise we won't be getting there. And that's time. And Garfield is back in this very comfy seat. And he seemed to enjoy it pretty well. Nice touch. So yeah, that was this game in a nutshell. Garfield is saved once again.
GG, congratulations.
Thank you.
I butchered the timer, I'm sorry.
Okay, according to my timer, the time was 21 minutes and 21 seconds.
Okay, so I was about 20 seconds late, I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, that's a pretty decent time.
Thank you so much for the run. Anything else you have to say about it, or to the viewers?
Well, I'd like to do a couple of shout-outs first to
Of course.
the other people running this specific game, which are Glitchybon, Dibbledots, and Mr. 007. Those are the current 4 names, including me. So yeah, we can always use a couple more runners. So if you feel like, hey, this sounds fun, I want to run this, you're always welcome. On the speedrun.com page, you'll find a link to the Discord. So it's not a very active Discord, but you know, you can always join, of course, and everybody's always happy to help with whatever questions you have. So yeah, and also thanks to the organization and the crew for yeah, choosing this game. I really enjoyed playing this. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much for offering. And the Toon Block will continue with a co-op run of World of Illusion. But before that, we're gonna switch restreamers, so the stream is going to drop very briefly. But after that, more Sega goodness. So stay tuned.